Welcome back to Boring History for Sleep. This is part 4 in our series, designed to quiet your mind and gently carry you into rest. Tonight, we drift into the fog of Victorian London, a city of soot and silence, of gaslight and cobblestone. No need to focus, no need to follow every word. Just breathe, and let the story become background music for your dreams. Let each detail, each footstep, each whisper, each flicker of lamplight lull you into stillness. And if sleep finds you along the way, that's perfectly fine. Because you're not here to remember. You're here to let go. Now, close your eyes and we'll begin. Part 1. Waking up in the smog. It is hour 12 in the long drifting dream that is your walk through Victorian London. The year is 1851. The bed beneath you creaks. The room is narrow, its wallpaper peeling in lazy curls. Above your head, a leaky wooden ceiling groans softly as early morning fog presses against the glass like a ghost trying to look in. You breathe in. The air tastes of soot and ash, a mixture of chimney smoke and stale sweat. It is not pleasant, but it is familiar. You have survived another night in the East End, and for that, you are already luckier than many. You rise slowly, careful not to wake the stranger in the cot beside you. In a room meant for 2, 5 of you share space. Elbows and dream often overlap. Someone coughs in their sleep, deep, rattling. Consumption, most likely. A sound as common as birdsong here. Your boots sit by the wall, cracked and weary like your feet. You pull on a shirt, secondhand, threadbare, and fasten it with a single mismatched button. The trousers are baggy. The coat smells faintly of fish. You found it near the docks last spring and never questioned the gift. Stepping into the hallway, the floorboards groan in protest. Everything in this building is old. The walls, the nails, the air. Even the mice seem tired. You descend the staircase sideways, for the steps are uneven and the railing untrustworthy. Downstairs, the front door hangs crooked, letting in ribbons of fog that curl at your ankles like stray cats. Outside, London breathes. You breathe with it. The streets are not yet awake, but they are never asleep. There is always a cart creaking, a bottle breaking, a voice whispering too loudly to be innocent. You step into the mist, and the city welcomes you the only way it knows how, with noise. Hooves click against cobblestones. A child laughs and then disappears. A drunkard snores near a lamppost, legs outstretched like a fallen marionette. You keep walking. You are not in a hurry. This is Victorian London. The city waits for no one, yet tonight it waits for you. The baker's boy's already out, bare-legged and red-faced, pushing a wooden cart full of yesterday's bread. He offers no smile, no greeting, only a grunt and a nod. You nod back. In London, even civility costs energy, and energy must be saved for the essentials. Walking, surviving, avoiding notice. Your stomach growls. You follow the scent of yeast and coal smoke toward the bakery. The windows are fogged, the door propped open with a brick. Inside, an old woman in black coughs into her sleeve and asks for a farthing loaf. You wait. Time in London is elastic. It stretches thin, like gruel. It does not rush. When it is your turn, the baker looks at you with a practiced once, measuring hunger, coin, desperation. You place a penny on the counter. He hands you a small, round loaf, still warm. It smells of ash, but your mouth waters anyway. You do not bite it yet. You wait. You savor the weight of it in your coat pocket. You leave the bakery. A woman with a shawl over her head walks beside you for a moment, her face hidden, her hands red with cold. She disappears around a corner. You do not follow. Instead, you turn down a narrow lane where laundry lines crisscross like spider webs. Droplets cling to the clothespins. A man mutters to himself while dumping a chamber pot out a second-story window. You step aside just in time. The splash lands inches from your boot. You are still lucky. A police constable passes you by, twirling his truncheon. He hums a little tune, completely at odds with the night's mood. You do not look him in the eye. In London, attention is dangerous. The uniform means order, yes, but also power. And power does not always mean protection. You turn again into another alley, this one narrower and darker. Gas lamps flicker dimly overhead, glowing like dying stars. Their light is more decoration than function, smothered by the fire that hangs low and heavy. You know this street. You've walked it many times. It smells of horses and wet brick and something else, something metallic, like old coins or blood. You walk faster. Children play in puddles ahead, shrieking with laughter. One throws a rock that misses you by inches. He grins. You don't grin back. You keep walking. At the corner, a woman calls out to no one in particular, her voice sticky with gin. She wears too much rouge and not enough coat. She sings a broken version of Greensleeves. You've heard it 1,000 times. You do not stop. Instead, you walk toward the docks. The Thames is never quiet. Barges drift by like floating ghosts. The water is thick and black and always moving. Rats scurry along the edge, fearless and fat. Somewhere a bell rings. You do not know what it means. It never means anything good. You find a place to sit, a bench that leans to one side, one leg shorter than the others. You sit anyway. The bread comes out of your pocket. You eat it slowly, watching the river breathe. Victorian London is loud, but it is also deeply quiet. There is a hush beneath the noise, a stillness beneath the movement. If you sit long enough, you can feel it. It is the kind of quiet that presses on your chest, not suffocating, not cruel, just heavy, like the city itself is resting on you. You chew. The crust is hard. Your jaw aches. A cat jumps onto the bench beside you. Its fur is patchy. Its eyes are yellow. It blinks slowly, unafraid. You nod at it. It does not nod back. You finish the bread. You toss a crumb to the cat. It sniffs, turns away. London never gives thanks. The fog begins to lift, just slightly. A gas lamp flickers back to life. Somewhere a church bell tolls. 9 o'clock. The sound rolls through the city like distant thunder. You rise, you have survived the morning. But the day is just beginning, and the city is just getting hungry. You make your way down a side street you rarely use. The cobblestones here are older, darker, slick with something that isn't just rain. Perhaps oil, perhaps blood. You don't stop to find out. At the corner stands an old man selling newspapers. His fingers are ink-stained and tremble slightly as he holds one up for you to see. "Fire in Whitechapel," he mutters, eyes glassy. "4 dead, maybe more." You nod, offer a halfpenny, and take the paper. Not to read, just to hold. It makes you look like you belong to a world that still believes in headlines. You pass a closed tailor's shop with a cracked window. Inside, the mannequins are dressed in styles 5 years out of date. One leans slightly forward, like it's been trying to escape for years, but never quite made it. Dust clings to their faces like memories. There's a tea house nearby, a place you've never gone inside. You've walked past it every day for months. Sometimes you imagine what it might feel like to sit at one of the tables, drink something warm from porcelain, speak softly with someone who doesn't want anything from you. But not today. Today is for surviving. The sky above remains pale and formless, like damp parchment. No sun, no clouds, just the flat glow of gaslight seeping into daylight. Somewhere above, a pigeon coos. Below, a rat darts across the road. The pigeon sounds lonely. The rat sounds busy. Your coat flaps in the wind. You wrap it tighter. The inside is lined with scraps of old cloth you stitched in yourself. It isn't pretty, but it's warm. That is the currency of this season. Warmth. As you walk, you hear a distant choir. A church nearby must be rehearsing for evening service. The voices are soft, scattered, like the city's heartbeat. You stop to listen. For a moment, just in a moment, it feels like peace. But then a scream cracks through the air, a woman's voice, sharp and shrill. You don't turn toward it, you walk faster. London is full of screams. They mean different things. Pain, joy, madness. Most of the time, no one checks. You stop at a pump to wash your hands. The water is freezing and your skin turns red almost instantly. You splash some on your face, hoping it makes you look less tired. It doesn't. Nothing does. But the cold wakes you up. A boy runs past you, nearly knocking you over. He's barefoot, grinning, his hands stuffed into stolen pockets. Behind him, a vendor yells curses into the wind. The boy disappears round the corner. The curses keep going. You check your own pockets. Still there, breadcrumbs, a folded handkerchief, the lucky coin you found on the floor of the public house 2 weeks ago. Still lucky, you think. You pass a row of townhouses, tall and proud and slowly crumbling. Some still have flowers in their windows. Some have broken glass. On one stoop, a young woman leans against the railing, smoking something rolled in old newsprint. Her hair is tangled. Her eyes are blank. She doesn't see you. Or maybe she chooses not to. It's hard to tell. You nod anyway. Out of respect, out of habit, out of hope. She doesn't nod back. The city continues to breathe around you, thick and gray and rhythmic. Smoke rises from chimneys. Fog clings to boot soles. Words drift across alleys like birds' song, with nowhere to land. You cross a small bridge, its iron railings slick with dew. Below, the canal water glistens with oil, and something that might once have been alive. You don't look too closely. A street preacher shouts on the corner, waving a leather-bound Bible. "The end is near," he bellows. "Prepare your soul." No one stops, not even you. You've heard this sermon before. Every city has its prophets. London just makes sure they're ignored. You stop at a market stall run by a woman with hands like tree bark. She sells apples, small, misshapen, red like bruises. You hold one, feel its weight, then shake your head. "Too dear." She shrugs. No hard feelings. Everyone's trying to make it work. A bell rings behind you, a tram rolling past, its tracks hissing. You turn, let it pass, watch the blur of people inside. Hats, gloves, blank faces. They are tired too. You've walked nearly 2 hours now. The city hasn't changed, but somehow it always does. You find yourself in a small square. A statue stands in the center, worn down by time and soot. You don't know who it is. The plaque is unreadable, but you sit on the stone bench beside it. Your legs ache. Your stomach growls again. The city doesn't notice. You tilt your head back and watch as the fog begins to lift. Just a little. A faint patch of gray sky reveals itself like a secret. Somewhere a dog barks. Somewhere else a man sings in a voice too good for these streets. And in this strange moment, between aching and breathing, you realize something. You have made it through another morning in Victorian London. And here that is enough. Part 2, navigating the streets. How to move through the city without getting lost or noticed. London does not welcome you. It does not greet you with warm eyes or open arms. It is a machine, grinding, groaning, gray. And if you wish to survive it, you must learn to walk like a pawn within its clockwork. You rise from the bench and rejoin the current. Londoners do not stop for long. The streets are veins, and you are just another drop of blood flowing through them. You pick a direction not because it matters, but because stillness invites questions. And in this city, questions can be dangerous. To survive here, movement must be deliberate, neither too fast to look suspicious, nor too slow to seem lost. You must carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who belongs, even if the cobblestones under your feet have never said your name. Your first rule: never make eye contact for too long. A quick glance is fine, necessary even, but hold it 1 second too long and it becomes a challenge, or a flirtation, or worse, an invitation. Keep your gaze just above the shoulder or just below the chin. Enough to acknowledge, never enough to engage. Your second rule: know your exits. Every alley, every crooked turn, every place with 2 doors is worth remembering. In London, you may walk into a street with laughter and walk out chased by shadows. Escape is not cowardice here, it is wisdom. You walk down Bishopsgate, where the carriages rattle like iron beasts and the gutters run thick with last night's rain. The smell of horses, dung, leather, and wet stone fills your nose. It is unpleasant, but no longer unfamiliar. You dodge a splash from a passing, hansom cab. The driver does not slow. No one ever does. You press closer to the buildings, walking where the awnings drip and the shadows lean. A shop window reflects your face for just a moment. Gaunt, pale, eyes like hollow pennies. You look away. You cross the street, dodging between two costermongers arguing over a broken crate of apples. One throws a punch, the other ducks. Neither sees you. Good. The deeper you go into the city, the more the streets twist like intestines. Some alleys lead nowhere. Others lead to places you'd rather not know. There are roads that vanish behind lattes, behind markets that appear only on Tuesdays, behind shadows that stretch farther than they should. You pass through Petticoat Lane, where vendors bark their wares in 10 different accents. A woman offers bootlaces. A man sells roasted chestnuts from a dented tin barrel. Another waves bottles of blue liquid, promising cures for everything from gout to heartbreak. You pause briefly at a table of secondhand gloves. The vendor, a boy no older than 13, grins with teeth too sharp for comfort. "Only a penny for fingers that feel like royalty," he says. You decline. He shrugs and turns to the next passerby. In London, rejection is just background noise. At the corner of Hanbury Street, a man sweeps the front of a pub with a broom made of bundled twigs. He hums a tune you don't recognize. The windows of the pub are still fogged from the night before. Inside, the tables are empty, but sticky. A lamp still burns low in the corner. You keep walking. You come across a group of children chalking shapes onto the pavement. Their game seems complicated, something between hopscotch and prophecy. One child pauses, looks up, and asks, "Are you a ghost?" You blink. "No," you say. The child nods as if this answer only confirms their suspicion. You turn down a lane that curves like a question mark and ends at Spitalfields Market. The stalls are half full, the crowd only just gathering. Vendors shout in practiced cadence. Fish scales glisten in the morning light. A woman stirs eels in a tin tub. You drift, eyes scanning faces, feet avoiding puddles. You are not here to buy, you are here to watch. This is how one survives in London. Observe more than you are observed. Listen more than you are spoken to. Move as if you belong, even if the city itself has forgotten your name. You pass a tailor adjusting a mannequin in his shop window. His fingers are nimble, his mouth a tight line. He never looks up. Behind him, bolts of fabric hang like silent screams. Gray, black, brown, more gray. Color is a luxury here, and luxuries are dangerous. Near the edge of the market, a woman with a clipboard stops you. She wears a stiff hat and a pin that says Temperance Society. "Have you considered the cost of drink?" she asks. You smile politely, the way you've learned to. "Yes," you say, "but I'm far too poor for either the punishment or the consequence." She blinks, unsure whether that's agreement or defiance. Before she can decide, you slip past. You don't stop again until you reach a narrow alley behind the market, where crates are stacked like puzzle pieces and the air smells of rotten fruit and rats. You sit on an overturned box and pull your coat tighter. You listen. A man in a nearby doorway tunes a violin. The sound is soft, delicate, almost holy. For a moment, the city fades. There is only the music, and your breath, and the soft thrum of blood behind your eyes. The moment passes. The violin stops. The city resumes. You stand, you move on. You follow the curve of the alley until it spills back into a larger road. A butcher hauls a carcass from a cart, its ribs shining in the cold light. A dog watches from beneath a stoop, silent, calculating. You keep your distance. The butcher whistles a tune that doesn't match the mood. Behind him, a row of sausages dangles like wind chimes made of flesh. You do not stop. Meat is for those with shillings, and today you barely have pence. A man bumps your shoulder. He's broad, in a suit 2 sizes too small, carrying a satchel that rattles faintly. He doesn't say sorry, neither do you. In London, apologies are either currency or weakness, and you possess neither in excess. You keep moving. There's a rhythm to it now, a kind of quiet ballet. Avoid the loudest mouths, duck under hanging signs, cross before the cart rolls too close. You learn in time how to move through the city the way water does, following the cracks, obeying gravity, always downhill. At a narrow intersection, a girl leans against a lamppost. She's smoking something thin and bitter, and her eyes hold the boredom of someone twice her age. "Care for your fortune, Red?" she asks, holding out a hand covered in ink. You shake your head. She shrugs. She's not a fortune teller, she's a distraction. You can almost feel the boy behind you reaching for your pocket. You pivot just enough to make him retreat. He vanishes into the fog, and you glance back at the girl. Clever, quiet, efficient. London raises its pickpockets young. You head south now, toward the river. The closer you get, the more the city smells of tar and brine. Men in heavy coats haul crates stamped with foreign symbols. A sailor sings a tune in broken French. Someone argues in Cockney so thick it might as well be another language. The docks are always alive, even when the rest of the city sleeps. Ships creak, chains groan, gulls scream. The Thames is a beast, black, wide, ancient. You don't like being too close, but there's work here sometimes. Unloading, loading, standing still while pretending to be useful. You pass a warehouse door propped open with a barrel. Inside, candles flicker. Men play cards at a table made of crates. One looks up as you pass. You don't stop. You've seen that look before. One part hunger, one part boredom, a mix that leads to trouble. Instead, you detour through a row of sheds. A boy sells matches. His fingers are blue. He lights one and holds it up like a torch against the gray. Warm your bones, mister. You nod, step closer, hold your hands to the flame. He grins with cracked lips. First one's free, he says. You nod again, drop a halfpenny in his tin. You walk away warmer, but not much. You're in Whitechapel now. Here, the streets hum with a different kind of tension. Quieter, slower, but deeper. The buildings loom closer. The air hangs thicker. Voices drop an octave, and footsteps echo longer. You cross through Bucks Row, where broken windows squint at the street like tired eyes. A woman sits on the steps, peeling potatoes into a dented tin. She hums something you almost recognize. It's a lullaby. You keep walking. A narrow archway leads into a courtyard paved with cracked stone and broken bottles. Children chase each other between puddles, shrieking. A man sleeps under a tarp, snoring like thunder. You pause beside a brick wall, tracing names carved into the mortar. Alice, Tom, God help us. The city records its own history in the places no one bothers to clean. A constable strolls by on the far side of the courtyard. He nods at you, slow, unreadable. You nod back. The rules apply here too. Don't run unless you must. Don't linger unless you're welcome. And never, never make a scene. You make your way back westward toward more familiar streets. The rhythm returns. The city breathes again in sync with your steps. You pass a man selling roasted peanuts from a rolling cart. He coughs into a cloth and offers a paper cone. You smile but keep your coins. You pass a woman holding a baby wrapped in scarves, her eyes scanning the street for something she's already lost. You look away. You pass a painted door covered in posters, circus shows, lost cats, job offers that probably don't exist. You run your fingers across one for a clerical assistant. It promises stability. It lies. As you approach the edge of Shoreditch, a light drizzle begins. The rain is soft, barely more than mist. But it is persistent. It clings to your collar, your hair, your eyelashes. The whole world becomes slick and silver. You tuck yourself beneath a shop awning and wait. A girl next to you eats a meat pie, steam rising from the crust like perfume. She doesn't offer to share. You don't ask. Across the street, a group of men laugh too loudly outside a tavern. One slips on the wet step and curses. The others roar. For a moment, even the city chuckles. You let the rain pass, then step back into the current. As you walk, you realize the city has tested you, and you've passed. You haven't tripped. You haven't stared. You haven't run. You've become another moving part in the great machine. Not noticed, not followed, not missed. This is how you survive the streets of Victorian London. Not with force, not with luck, but with rhythm, with silence, with eyes always forward and feet always moving. You turn a final corner and find yourself back at the square from this morning. The statue still stands. The fog has returned, softer now. The bench is empty. You sit. You have made it through the streets, and the city has let you. Part 3, What to Eat and Where Not to Die. Finding food without finding death in Victorian London. Your stomach speaks again. It never really stopped, only quieted as the city distracted you with noise and fog. But now the need returns, sharp and honest. Hunger in Victorian London is not just a feeling. It's a constant echo, a second heartbeat that reminds you how thin the line is between surviving and fading. So you begin to search, not just for food, but for safe food. Because not all meals in London are meant to nourish. Some are meant to deceive, some to empty your purse, others to end your week. You begin on Brick Lane, where the food stalls mix with the textile vendors, and the smells of spice and soap and sweat blend into something vaguely edible. A woman sells boiled potatoes from a tin pot. She doesn't smile. She doesn't speak. She simply ladles one into a cracked bowl and holds out her hand. You pay and move on, eating slowly. The potato is soft, salty, filling. It has been cooked in water you don't want to think about, but it's warm, and that is enough. You chew with your mouth closed and your eyes open. Across the street, someone vomits into a gutter. Another man hawks meat pies with no visible source of meat. You decide not to investigate. What's safe? Bread, if it's warm, if it's not too white. White bread is for the rich, and they pay for it in coin and health. Chalk and alum are often added to make it paler, to stretch the flour. Bread that crackles when torn might be half plaster. Better to choose the dark loaves, the ones made by hand, sold from carts, their crusts scarred by fire. You learn to spot the trustworthy bakers. They don't smile, they don't advertise. Their bread speaks for itself. Stew is another option, if it's boiling. Heat kills most things, you hope. You've eaten stew with mystery lumps and lived to tell the tale. You've learned to avoid stew that isn't steaming. The cooler it is, the more likely it is to come alive after it enters your stomach. Fish? Only if it stinks. It's a strange truth. If fish smells clean, it may have been washed with something unnatural. Lye, ammonia, even formaldehyde. The smell of the docks, the salty, fishy stench, is what you want. That means it's real. That means it was once alive and probably still edible. A man on Wapping Wall offers you a herring for tuppence. It looks old, but not too old. You shake your head. He shrugs. Behind him, boys toss eels into a bucket. You used to be repulsed. Now you see them as possibility. Eel pie is popular for a reason. It's cheap, fatty, and eels are too slippery to catch disease, people say. You hope they're right. Meat? Only if you trust the butcher, which you rarely do. You've seen meat dyed with red ink to hide the gray. You've seen sausages made with bread, ash, sawdust, and the occasional rat. You've heard of horse meat sold as beef, dog as lamb, even cat passed off as rabbit. You once ate something you thought was pork. It crunched. You didn't ask questions. You learned then that hunger teaches flexibility and forgetting. At a corner near Smithfield, you pass a pie shop with a cracked window. The sign reads, "Hot Savories, best in the borough." Inside, the smell is good, too good. You peer into the glass. The pies are glossy, neat, unnaturally round. You step back, perfection is not to be trusted. You head down a narrow lane toward a man who roasts chestnuts over a barrel fire. He doesn't speak, just gestures toward a cone of 6. You pay him and hold the paper close to your chest like a treasure. They are slightly burnt, slightly sweet, slightly smoky. They are perfect. In the real way. Water? Don't even try. Not unless it's been boiled. Not unless it's in tea or broth or served at a charity church with a guarantee printed in God's name. London's water runs with more than just silt. Cholera dances in it. Dysentery, too. You've seen what happens to those who trust the hand pump. Their skin turns gray. Their eyes sink. Their breath rattles, then doesn't. So you drink only from known kettles. From tavern stews. From tepid tea poured by suspicious nuns. You do not drink from the Thames, not even when the Pong sings and the city whispers and your throat burns. You'd rather thirst than gamble with that river's memory. Gin. It is everywhere. It is cheaper than milk. And for many, it is the only escape London offers. You've seen women pour it into baby bottles. Men use it for shaving. Old ladies rub it into aching knees. You sip only when necessary. A small pub on Fleet Street offers Mother's Ruin for a halfpenny. You once tasted it. It burned going down. You didn't walk straight for an hour. But you also didn't feel the hunger for that hour. And in some parts of London, that's worth the dizziness. You remember the bartender, tall, with a scar like a question mark down one cheek. He never asked your name. You never gave it. That, too, is how one survives. You sit now in a courtyard behind a fishmonger's shop. It's quiet here, the crates smell of salt and brine and old wood. You eat the last of your chestnuts and lean back. The city growls in the distance. But for now, you are fed. Not full, but fed. And that is enough. From your spot behind the fishmonger's shop, you watch the world through the slats of a broken crate. A girl chases a paper bag across the street. A man sells spoons from a velvet-lined box. Somewhere a violin plays a waltz too elegant for this neighborhood. And then comes the smell. Not the fish, not the smoke, but onions, garlic, something good. You rise slowly, following the scent around the corner to a narrow alley you've never noticed. A single red door swings open to a room filled with steam and laughter. An older woman, with sleeves rolled to her elbows, ladles thick soup into chipped bowls. Her accent is foreign, something Eastern. Polish? Yiddish? You step inside without knowing why. She looks you up and down, then points to a bench. No questions, no price. Just a bowl placed in front of you, steaming and rich. Lentils, carrots, a bone in the bottom like a buried treasure. You eat slowly, the way only the deeply hungry do. The warmth creeps into your fingers, your chest, your jaw. You close your eyes, not all the way, just enough to forget what's beyond this room. When you finish, you slide the bowl back toward her. She nods. Still no questions. Outside, the fog waits. You return to it changed, not stronger, not safer. Just softer. You wander toward Clerkenwell. The bells there ring on the hour, each chime a soft reminder that time moves even when the streets seem frozen. A man with no shoes taps rhythms on a tin pan. A baby cries. A coal cart rumbles past, spilling dust into the air. At the edge of the district, you find a stall with pickled eggs in glass jars. The vendor has only one eye. He offers you one for a penny. You consider. Eggs are tricky. They hold secrets. You buy it anyway. It's cold, sour, slippery. You eat it without blinking. The fog grows thicker by mid-afternoon. You duck into a covered arcade to dry your coat. Around you, boys shine shoes for tuppence. A girl with a tray of peppermint humbugs weaves through the crowd. You watch her work, how she smiles only with her eyes, how she keeps one hand near her pocket. She's careful, like you, like everyone still breathing. She offers you a sweet. You shake your head. Sugar is indulgence. Sugar is memory. You cannot afford either today. You step outside again and find a man roasting something over a trash barrel. You ask what it is. Don't ask, he replies. So you don't, but you don't eat it either. Instead, you pass through Covent Garden, where the wealthier folk linger. You walk slower here, careful not to stand out. The food here gleams in glass cases. Cakes with spun sugar. Meats dressed in parsley. Wines behind wire. You keep your hands in your pockets. This food is not for you. It is for them. And to reach for it is to invite shame or arrest. You turn down a smaller street and find a Salvation Army station giving out tea. It's weak, more brown than black, but it's hot. You cradle the tin cup like it's made of gold. You sit on the curb. The cup warms your lips, your jaw, your chest. A man beside you mutters Bible verses. A woman across from you sings to herself. For a moment, everything slows. Everything breathes. As dusk begins to settle, you know the hardest part of the day approaches. The second hunger. The first hunger is morning hunger. Honest, sharp, desperate. The second hunger is more dangerous. It comes with exhaustion, with cold bones and long shadows. It makes you reckless. It makes things look edible that aren't. It makes strange stew smell like home. You fight it by planning ahead. A roll tucked in your coat, a boiled turnip from a street corner, a bit of jerky saved from 3 days ago. You resist the urge to gamble it on something hot and fast. You've seen what happens to those who eat street clams or curried offal too late in the day. They wake up sweating, or don't wake at all. The safest dinner is the one you carried with you since noon. You find a stairwell in Soho, sit with your back to the brick, and eat quietly. You chew slowly. You listen to a woman sing in Italian from a window above. You feel the vibration of a carriage rattling past. You watch your breath curl in the air like ghost smoke. The food is bland, but it's yours, and it's safe. As night deepens, you think about the unspoken truth. In Victorian London, to eat without dying is a triumph. To feed yourself, no matter how plain, how odd, how questionable the source, is a mark of success. And for one more day, you have succeeded. Part or nightfall, gaslight, and ghosts. Night does not fall in Victorian London. It seeps. It leaks between the bricks. It crawls over rooftops. It exhales through alleyways and wraps itself around chimneys, lamps, and bones. It doesn't announce itself. It simply replaces the day, quietly, steadily, until you look up and realize that everything is dim. And then the gas lamps bloom. They hiss to life in clusters, each one a soft exhale of fire. They cast no real warmth, only light, yellow and strange, like the inside of an old dream. Shadows stretch long and loose across the cobbles, making giants out of chimney sweeps and ghosts out of girls carrying water. You watch from beneath a slanted awning, your coat pulled tight. The night is cold, not bitter, but sharp, like teeth pressed gently to the neck. You feel it in your fingertips, in the way your breath curls quickly now, then disappears. The city changes after dark. It slows, not into silence, but into something older, ancient. Horse hooves still clack, boots still echo, but now they seem farther away, as if walking through fog deeper than air. Conversations drop in pitch, faces become silhouettes, and the danger becomes softer, but not lesser. You walk. Wherever you sleep tonight, it will not be here. Here is too bright, too open, too remembered. You pass by a public house spilling laughter and gin. The windows glow like orange paper lanterns. You think about going in, but you keep walking. The last time you lingered in a pub this late, you woke up without your coat, without your boots, without your memory of how you got to the river's edge. Not again. You pass a rag and bone man pushing a cart, calling out his wares in a voice as thin as wire. Any old iron, any bones, any rags. His cart creaks. His eyes do not meet yours. He is somewhere else entirely. Maybe he always is. Near St. Giles, you cross paths with a preacher standing on a fruit crate. Repent, for the fires of judgment are coming, he declares to the empty street. No one answers. You wonder if he believes himself. You wonder if it matters. His breath fogs the air with every syllable. You nod as you pass, not because you agree, but because he is still speaking, still trying, and in this city, trying deserves at least a nod. You slip into a side street lined with pawn shops and shuttered milliners. One lamp is out, another flickers. The bricks sweat in the cold. You see a figure ahead, just standing, still, unmoving. For a long moment, neither of you approach. Then a horse trots past between you. When it clears, the figure is gone. London is full of ghosts. Some wear sheets, others wear memory. You cannot always tell the difference. You find yourself in a park, the kind people forget exists. A rusted fence keeps nothing in or out. The benches are damp, the trees skeletal. In the center, a fountain long since dry holds only moss and broken wishes. You sit. You count gas lamps like stars. 1, 2, 5, 8. None flicker here. The park is too forgotten, even for them. And yet, this is peace. This is quiet. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. A door slams. A woman laughs, a short, brittle sound, then silence again. You lay your head back, coat still wrapped around you. You do not sleep, not yet. Sleep in London must be earned carefully, but you drift. You remember old things, a song you haven't heard in years, a face that belonged to someone kind, the sound of a field in summer, impossible. But there, your breath slows. You are half asleep when the night deepens further. The fog thickens, not with smoke, but with memory. The kind you don't recall making, the kind that smells like coal and childhood and something burning in another room. You sit up. The street has changed again. The windows now are darker. The stones seem wetter. Even your own boots sound different on the road. like someone else is wearing them. You are still yourself, you think. You pass a row of boarding houses. In one, a woman sings an old lullaby in German. In another, a man coughs every 11 seconds, precise as a clock. You note them. They are markers, landmarks, proof that you are still in the city you know. Then a bell chimes, midnight. You turn toward the river, not for safety, not for shelter, but because the river is true, always has been. The Thames does not lie. You reach its edge and stare down into its black skin. It reflects little, some fire, some cloud, mostly shadow. You hear footsteps behind you. You do not turn. Instead, you speak, not tonight. The footsteps stop, then fade. You smile. You have learned London's language. Its fear, its rhythm, its grace. You leave the river and walk uphill, slow and steady. The city does not fight you anymore. It allows you to pass. You find a covered stairwell behind a church and settle there. The stone is dry, the wind is quiet, the scent is of old hymnals and iron. You sleep, and for once the city lets you. The church bells do not ring again. Midnight is a solitary chime, the kind that echoes long after the sound has faded, the kind you feel behind your teeth. You rest your back against the stone wall of the stairwell. The bricks are cold, but stable. A kind of silence wraps around you, deeper than quiet. The silence of old places, of things that remember more than they should. A rat scurries by. You don't flinch. The city always shares its corners. You take one final bite of bread you saved, dry now but honest. A crumb falls on your lap. The wind doesn't blow it away. The night holds it, as if even the crumbs deserve to stay. Across the street, a man lights a pipe in the dark. The ember glows briefly, then fades. You never see his face, only the curl of smoke, like a ghost making shapes in the tongue. A woman hums near the corner. The same lullaby from earlier, or maybe a new one made of sighs. She doesn't know she's singing, or maybe she does. Maybe it's for someone already gone. You pull your coat tighter. You think about all the places you might have ended up tonight. A workhouse bed, damp and full of whispers. A pub floor, sticky and dangerous. The river's edge, a prison cell. But instead, this, a corner no one wants, a stairwell no one guards, a little patch of night that feels impossibly like your own. The gas lamps keep hissing. They are tired now. Their glow stretches long, thin, sickly. Soon even they will sleep. You wonder who else is awake. Not many. The thieves have worked their routes. The lovers have found their rooms. The desperate have picked their fights. And the ghosts have settled in. You can feel them, not haunting, not hunting, just present. Some belong to others. Some belong to you. You drift again, not into dreams, but into something older. Memory becomes soft. Time thins. You remember a story your mother once told, though you don't remember her face. Something about a lantern that never went out. Something about a promise in the dark. You reach into your pocket. Still there, a button, a lucky coin, a string with no name. Your only possessions, really, and yet they anchor you. A light flickers in a window overhead. Brief, then gone. Someone is awake. Someone else cannot sleep, or chooses not to. You do not wonder why. Everyone in this city has a reason to stay awake, even if they can't name it, especially then. A cat appears on the step beside you, silent, soaking wet, indifferent. It doesn't look at you. It doesn't beg. It simply curls against the wall, its back nearly touching your leg. You pretend not to notice. In London, closeness is currency. It is rarely given freely. But the cat stays. So do you. You count breaths, yours, the cat's, the city's. They do not match, but they rhyme. You think about the morning, what it will bring, what it always brings. Coal carts, footsteps, soup smells, newspaper boys, and choices. Stay, move, hide, hope. Each morning begins the same, with the ache of having survived the night, and the whisper of trying again. You let your head rest. The cat purrs, barely audible. The wind forgets to blow, and slowly, finally, you sleep, Not because the night is safe, but because you've made it safe. Because you've earned this moment. Because the city has allowed it, just for now. The dream doesn't come quickly. Instead, there is a stretch of something in between. Between waking and sleep, between stone and sky, between one breath and the next. Your fingers twitch. Not from cold, but from memory. You remember warmth not from fire, but from closeness. A hand once held, a face once leaned toward, the scent of linen that was laundered, not soaked in rain. But you don't chase the memory, you let it pass. London teaches this too. Some memories are for holding, most are for watching float away. Somewhere in the distance, a clock chimes again. Once, twice, you lose count. You open your eyes for a moment and find the cat is gone. So is the fog. In its place, only stillness. The kind of stillness that belongs to cemeteries, to attics, to hearts that have stopped hoping but haven't stopped beating. The kind of stillness that makes you wonder if you're still part of the living city. But then, a footstep, a cart rolling somewhere far away, a baby crying, a match being struck. Life again. London never stops. It only rests between sounds. You sit up slowly, not because it's time, but because your body no longer wants to be still. Your neck aches, your knees protest, but you move anyway. You stretch your legs across the damp stone, run your hand over the rough stair beside you. It's chipped, a name carved into it, half-faded. Edward, or maybe Eleanor, or maybe just End. The city is full of unfinished scenery. You rise, a horse trots past at the far end of the alley. No rider, no cart, just the sound of hooves on wet stone. It feels like a fable. You step into the open again. The sky is no lighter, the air is no warmer, but something has shifted. The city's pulse has changed. Its breath has turned. Dawn is near. You don't see it, not yet, but you feel it, like pressure behind the eyes, like a sigh that hasn't been taken. You begin to walk, not toward anything, not away from anything, just forward. You pass a street you don't recognize, a lamppost with a cracked glass, a pile of coal beside a boarded-up doorway, a woman sweeping her front stoop, though the sun hasn't risen. She sees you, you nod, she does not nod back. That's all right, you walk past a bakery where the ovens have just lit. The smoke smells like mornings before the world turned gray. You pass two men asleep beneath a blanket made of newspaper. One snores, one does not. You pass a constable yawning behind a corner. He watches you pass but says nothing. You've become invisible now. That's good. That's survival. And finally you see it, a seam of light on the horizon, not bright, not bold, but real. Dawn, tired but true. You sit on a short stone wall near the market. You eat the last crust in your coat pocket. It's harder now, but you chew slowly, thoughtfully. You think of the city as it wakes, the gears turning, the smoke rising, the children running, the merchants calling, and above it all, the soft pink breath of a new day, barely daring to bloom over rooftops, soot-stained and rain-washed. You have survived, not by sword or sermon, but by learning the rhythm of the city, by walking when it said move, by sitting when it said wait, by sleeping with one eye open. Victorian London is not kind, but it is patient, and tonight it lets you pass. As this quiet journey through Victorian London comes to a close, may your breath slow and your thoughts soften. You've survived another night, just as they did, step by careful step, through fog, firelight, and whispers. Let sleep wrap around you now, gently and deeply. And when the morning comes, may you rise not with urgency, but with calm, with clarity, with quiet strength. You have rested in history, and when you wake, you will be ready for the day ahead. Thank you for walking with us tonight. And if you find peace in stories like these, we invite you to return tomorrow evening, same hour, same hush, for part 5, where another forgotten time will unfold slowly, softly, and sleepily. Until then, close your eyes, breathe deep, and sleep well.